Welcome to GMK Book Club. I am Jimmy Wambua. I have a quick question for you. What memories or emotions do you have when you hear the word daddy is mentioned? It is the first word most babies learn. Do you have bad memories, good memories, or no memories at all? Well, today we are privileged to have someone who has written a book on Dad is Destiny, the difference a father makes to a baby. Simon Baby, thank you so much for being with us today, and welcome to GMK Book Club.
Thank you.
What did you see in our society that you took that route of coming up with Transform Kenya?
Part of it is very personal. I struggled through growing up as a man, mainly because I was brought up by my sisters and my mother. My father died when I was very young, so I really didn't have a masculine model. And so I struggled with masculine roles and issues. And as I talked about my experience, I began to realize that I wasn't alone. In fact, I was in the majority of the country. People who don't have good memories about their dads, who didn't have a dad who was active and involved and good for that matter. And I realized fatherhood is really a crisis, and not just fatherhood, masculinity, because the father is just the highest expression of masculinity.
Great. Now, talking about your book, Dad is Destiny.
That's true. Father is foundation. He lays a foundation for the children, those that he fathers. And those 5 things you talked about, it's really what every man does, whether they know it or not. What you talked about, presence. Fathers need to be present for their children. I think every child wants a daddy who is present. You can't remote father. You need to be there. And I think many children have been left because their dads are too busy fixing the world, building the nation, but they neglect their kingdom, which is really home, the only place where they're indispensable. You can have someone else fixing Kenya, but you can't have a father fathering your children. You're the father, so you need to be present, playing with them, doing activities with them. But secondly, you talked about father being a provider. I think I'm amazed that many fathers have to be dragged into children's courts to be forced to provide for their very own children. That's not a father. That's someone who just gave seed and left. A real father claims his own and wants to provide for his own.
So you talk about wounds, dad wounds. Just take us through the dad wounds that come out of a man not taking his role for his children.
For example, we have absent fathers. Fathers who never showed up. Some of them never even showed up from the beginning. They gave seed and quit. And many children in Kenya don't know their fathers. And they would love to do that. I mean, I was talking to one of them who told me I would pay $1,000, dollars or 1,000,000 Kenya shillings if I can find my dad. And I said, why do you want to find him? I just want to see him, know where I came from, and get identity. Identity crisis is a big issue in our country because people don't know their fathers, and you never fully answer that question, who am I, until you answer the question, where did I come from? And fatherhood is central to that. So identity, absent fathers. In fact, the issue of absent fathers is a national concern.
Now, those wounds, having mentioned the absentee dad, you also bring the aspect of having alternatives, where you bring the aspect of how to heal these wounds that have been afflicted by dads who are not taking up their roles. Talk us through alternative dads.
Yeah, excellent. I think I talked about absent fathers, but there are also other wounds. There are fathers who are there but passive. They're not really involved with their children. They're just chilling out, watching television, reading papers, not involved in the 5 areas of responsibility we talked about. That also really affects children. In fact, many children get naughty and go into crime in an attempt to get the attention of their daddy who never gave them attention, or even get into early sex and pregnancy. But besides passive fathers, we also have abusive fathers. Physically abusive. I mean, some of us know some of our dads were like terrorists. They checked into the house and we checked out. We went to bed or pretended we were asleep.
How do we solve the problem in terms of healing these wounds?
Healing the wounds. I believe we need to admit that there are issues, there are further issues, that we have been hurt. And many of these people who are now in relationships, they're hurting other people because they are hurt. We need to admit first. And we need to let go. And letting go is forgiving. Because when you don't forgive, you still carry this pain. And you'll be a bitter person, letting that bitterness out on others and on society.
Talking about the last two roles of the dad being a priest and the dad being a prophet. I don't think many Kenyan dads realize that they have these two roles that are very key, especially being a prophet.
A priest is a person who connects the children with higher authority and teaches them, you know what, for you to have meaning of life and purpose in life, you need to understand that there's higher authority. For us as Christians, and we would connect them to God, their Father. But for the rest of us, elders in our communities used to be the custodians of values. They taught their children values. This is how you should go. This is what you should check out. They gave them the myths, which were basically about religion and about absolute values. And so whether they are Christians or not, whether they're religious or not, fathers are priests. The children look up to the father for faith, and faith explains the basic questions of life. Where did I come from? Where am I going? Why am I here? And things like that. So a father is really the one who is in charge, is a priest of the home.
We've been challenged today to be Shujaa dads in this Kenya. And also those Shujaa dads, they should take up the role and be alternative dads to the children of this country who are either misfathered, underfathered, or never fathered at all. So I hand over back to the studio for GMK.